We do have virtually Miss Alexandra Lutchman, co-founder of GUAP, and of course Marlon Skerritt, founder of crypto. And let's talk about that. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, so let's start with you, Ms. Lutchman. Just give us a little backdrop as to your organization and yourself a little bit.
Yes, I'm the co-founder of GUAP. It is in Trinidad in Chaguanas. What it does is help people send money back home to Trinidad. Right now I'm in Canada, and this is my second company that I founded in the crypto space. But this one is near and dear to my heart.
So what excites you mostly about the current state of the crypto industry?
The current state of crypto, specifically with Bitcoin and a lot of cryptocurrency, is it's borderless money. So you're able to do a lot of things without requiring knowledge about, or if you want access to crypto or interesting financial tools, you can with cryptocurrency. Banking sometimes has a lot of obstacles to get through, and sometimes they're good for safety, but sometimes they really are just hoops that don't allow everybody to access tools that will benefit them for the future or for right now.
Very good. All right. So, Mr. Skerritt, just tell us, you being the founder, and just tell us how how the idea came to being a part of. Well, just give us a backdrop a little bit about yourself and your involvement. All right, we're not hearing you. We got to turn your mic on or ensure that you are hearing us. All right. All right, let's go now.
All right, thanks. So I've been an entrepreneur for the past 10 years, and I got interested in using cryptocurrency as a way to be able to access, foreign currency, to be able to import goods and stuff. So the idea behind my involvement in cryptocurrency is, one, use it as a tool to be able to invest on the financial markets, and also to be able to have currency to be able to bring or import products into the country to run e-commerce and for stores and stuff like that.
So is it an option outside of US, given that if you have to buy online, obviously they charge you in US and your credit card, you have to pay, well, when you have to repay, obviously TT dollars. But just bring the whole concept of crypto and in treating with that transaction of, and how does the crypto work in place of the US? We need some clarity on that.
Okay, no problem. So cryptocurrency, specifically the crypto that I use is USDT, which is tied to the US dollars, which is a digital form of US money. So we have the physical cash, and then we also have the cryptocurrency US money in digital form. So it could be used just as any credit card, right? So you can have direct access to earning it, and use it as any card that you would use to import goods or shop around online or anything of the sort. So it's pretty much digital US money that we use to be able to transact on the global market.
Now, this currency is not physical, and Mr. Lutchman, there are those who may have a challenge with this. And just describe what it really is. Obviously, it's not physical money, but how do you convince the non-believer that this is the way to go, or there's the option that you have outside of the US currency?
One of my favorite questions. So a lot of cryptocurrency is a digital representation of money, and there's a few different ways that it could have value. So USDT is backed by the US dollar, and so there is a bank reserve for every USD that exists. There is a $1 in a bank account that's able to match. And then there's other cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin that is backed by a perceived value. So everyone agrees that it's valued this much, and thankfully that number is going up. And everyone agrees that that's what we're going to pay or willing to pay for it. So Bitcoin is another one. And sometimes crypto is used as a payment, USDT and Bitcoin to pay other people, and sometimes it's used as an investment tool. So sometimes you'll hear about investments in certain coins, and sometimes those go really high, sometimes they go really low. And that's a risk that some folks are willing to take. And so there's multiple different uses on it, depending on what your needs are. Really depends on what you need and the right crypto for you.
And how would you describe the current regulatory environment for crypto in our region?
In our region, it is very new. So cryptocurrency is a brand new technology and it still needs to be regulated. Right now, there is no regulations, but there is proposed regulations that could be more strict than what we see on a global market. And we want to see fair regulations. But right now, because it's such a new technology, we're seeing something that's a little bit more strict than would allow for innovation and anybody to use it here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mr. Skerritt, there's much misconceptions about cryptocurrency. Some say it's a smart man scheme. What money you're talking about or currency and I can't see it. Don't trust this thing. What misconceptions you want to correct presently about crypto and how accessible it is?
Right. So the first misconception is that cryptocurrency isn't real money. And I beg to differ. So you can't use cryptocurrency to purchase real world products. Right. So the money is convertible or but e-money essentially. Now all money is digital. Right. Now for instance, when we go to an ATM, we look at the ATM screen, we see numbers on a screen. We go to the grocery store, we see numbers on a screen. Right. If we transact money like bank to bank, right, even within Trinidad and Tobago, money is transferred digitally. So cryptocurrency is no different from transferring money digitally. And just the same way that you can have money in a bank account and just transfer it virtually and be able to do transactions, is the same thing with cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency is real money and it can be converted into hard cash if necessary.
And how do you see future regulation shaping the industry? More regulations or cleaner or clearer guidelines for innovation?
Right. So within the Caribbean, we even have Grenada as a shining example of regulations, or at least proposed regulations. So there is space for it, right, to be able to shape the landscape. I know that we have currently the talks in it now. What we are here to do is to bring awareness about what cryptocurrency can do for the region and for Trinidad and Tobago specifically. So, with proper guidelines, proper regulation, there is space for more integration to traditional finance and for the average person to be able to be more aware, to be able to transact using cryptocurrency more on a daily scale.
And what if, let's say that after this conversation, I'm convinced that I should convert my US or my so the exchange rate, is there exchange rate between US and crypto? Can I use my TT dollars to be converted into crypto? Let's say I had 10,000 TT and I want that to be converted. Can I do that? How does that work? The same with the US. Just give us a breakdown. Maybe Ms. Lutchman, you can take that one.
Yeah, so right now in Trinidad and Tobago, you can't connect a bank account to an exchange, and that's where you would exchange any fiat or regular money into crypto. There is one cash option that's hosted by GUAP where you can take your money to buy Bitcoin and then trade that into USDT or your crypto choice. But right now in Trinidad, it's limited options, and the exchange rate, because it's hard to get crypto in Trinidad, is higher. You would see it similar to getting USD, which could be 8.5 to 1 TTD.
Why is it difficult? Well, obviously, and Mr. Skeet, you would be able to. Why is it difficult to get crypto? The fact that we cannot get US in the first instance is a challenge. And if crypto is an option, then shouldn't crypto be available at a moment's notice? Why is it difficult to access crypto, given what Ms. Lutchman just said?
Right, so based on our current guidelines or framework, we can't actually use stuff like credit cards to be able to purchase cryptocurrency. If that were in place, then cryptocurrency would be very easy to get, right? But within it being more difficult to use or to acquire, it still is easy because we have access to a direct financial market. So we can earn cryptocurrency outside of using traditional finance or traditional banks, where usually the bigger companies or the governments themselves, right, in our case, the exporting of oil and gas, to be able to get USD. So while it is more difficult to get to some degree because of the current regulation, it is overall easier to get than actually getting physical US cash to be able to do your transactions.
Right, and staying there, right? So, So I'm trying to get what is the exchange rate. We know the US is $7, and maybe it fluctuates, it goes up and down, and so on. The Canadian, the same thing, and so on. What is the give me a ratio basically where the crypto is versus the TT dollar?
Okay, yeah. So so cryptocurrency is pegged 1 to 1 to the US dollar. So with proper regulation, we would be able to access it generally for 6.8, which is the exchange rate, right, or 7 to 1. Because we are forced to earn it. Alternatively, the exchange rate would be anywhere between 8 to 1 TTD to 8.5 TTD, essentially same as the physical US cash, the way we usually acquire it outside of traditional finance.
All right, so Mr. Lutchman, so the average Tobagonian who's listening to this for the first time may not be sold on this because they're hearing cryptocurrency. You would have been hearing the conversation about cryptocurrency, and then there are still people who say, well, what is it? And then we get the explanation that it's not physical money. However, your money can be converted into, where is, I don't want to say how popular it is, but what advantages do you have in choosing cryptocurrency over the US or any other currency? What advantages are there?
Right. If you're able to use crypto, or if this is something that you want to try, one of the biggest advantages, it's your money, it's your time, and you get to use it your way. With fair regulations and the ability to access it, you can spend it locally between your friends and your family, but also across borders between your family, or even if you're doing businesses. The biggest advantage to crypto is that you're going to be able to move money instantly, but without that extra cost. You have full custody of your money. So my money, my crypto would be on my phone, but the only person who has access to it is me. And that's one of the biggest things that we want to see when adopting something that you've earned, and that's something that you have ownership of. Having someone else tell you how you can spend your money, as much as we're used to it, is not something that you necessarily need. Just like cash in your wallet, you get to choose when and where. Crypto acts the same.
So it eliminates the physical cash, Mr. Skerritt. Now, when relatives are sending US home to Trinidad and Tobago, let's say they send 100 US, they change, or when you you go to one of those money exchange institutions, be it MoneyGram or one of those, you get a TT. And right, so you get TT and you're not satisfied because you wanted the US to travel. However, they give you in TT dollars and you're vexed, right? With cryptocurrency, let's say somebody wired us, well, you wired the US and so on, and that's the technology. But with crypto, you get your money in real time. It's not physical, however, you can go to the groceries, and this is where I'm going, right? The groceries and the regular stores are accommodating to cryptocurrency. There are some people you go in there, they say, wait up, whatever strange money, they say, hey, we're not using that here. You go to varying parts of the Caribbean, you walk with your TT dollars, say, we don't want that here. You have to have EC. Are the stores equipped, or do we have the transitioning in stores and wherever, hardwares and whatever, to accept cryptocurrency as their currency of trade?
So the infrastructure is there, right? With more education, more information, then it is possible for everybody to be able to accept cryptocurrency. Right? There are ways and there are technologies. So, for example, there are cryptocurrency cards that is tied with Visa that you could use, right? And nobody would even know you use cryptocurrency to be able to go to the groceries and pay. I personally have done it. There are other persons that did it. But because crypto is a very inclusive thing, it is very easy to be able to accept these things and to do transactions on it. So with proper education and with less fear surrounding the space, then it can be more mainstream, and a lot of persons can be able to execute a transaction and stuff like that when in any regular marketplace or groceries or anything of the sort.
And what are the pieces of advice you would want to give? And this is for you, Ms. Lutchman. We'd want to give to someone interested in treating with crypto as the new currency, whether as innovator or builder, in that you can invest in better off, make yourself better off. What advice would you give to anyone wanting to invest, should we say, in cryptocurrency?
If you want to invest in crypto, I would say take your time and do your research. It is very new, and has brand new regulations and brand new ways to use money. So this isn't something that you have to rush into. This isn't something that you have to be pressured into. I would say really take your time and understand what you're working with and what you're using. The biggest thing about crypto that's great is that once you send it, it's sent to that person and you don't have to worry about it, but there's no third party to reverse that transaction. So when you're taking that risk, you are taking a different risk. And it is available. So when you have something like crypto, like let's just say a family member sends it down to you, you can hold it as a USD or a Bitcoin balance until you're ready to spend it or get it in TTD. So this isn't something that like Western Union or MoneyGram, where they give it to you as TTD and then that's what you have, even if your family member sent you US. You're able to hold it as a Bitcoin or USDT balance until you're ready, or you can spend that, let's just say if you go traveling or need to use a crypto credit card, like a credit card that uses a cryptocurrency as a way to pay. So take your time, make sure you do your research, don't feel rushed into this, and know that there's many different ways people use crypto.
I heard you mention the word risk. And then as you said risk, I said, So let's guard against what risk, what chance that you might take that may put you in a risky position in that maybe I can't trust this wholeheartedly. Guide us as to what you mean by risk with this currency. Is it a risk that you're taking that you could lose your money if you invest? Or I want to convert my money into cryptocurrency and there's some risk. Guide me cautiously as to when you use the term risk there.
Excellent question. So yes, with any financial instrument that you want to bet money to make more money on, so that's what an investment is, there's also a certain amount of risk. Now, if you're putting money on and you're not doing any research and you're just throwing it out there and hoping for the best, then your risk is going to be high. Now, if you're taking your time and understanding what you're doing, you have the right security in place, you're making sure that you're not sharing passwords, you're not sharing secret words, and you're doing your due diligence and what you're putting your money into, then your risk is going to be lower. It really is the action, and you have a lot of control here. If, especially with crypto, you can be exposed to scams. Other people do want your money, and sometimes there are bad actors. And that is what I mean by don't rush into things. Don't put yourself in more risk than you're comfortable, right? And that varies for everybody. You could have, put all of your money and say, I'm in, just like a poker game. But then your risk is you would lose all of your money, just like a poker game. Or you can take a little bit as you want to, experiment and see and watch that grow. And it may take a little bit longer, or it may not have as big of a payout if you're doing investment, but you're able to manage that a little bit and not lose all your money. And that is one side of cryptocurrency when you're taking a risk. The other side of it is if you're using it as payments and you're not careful and you're not listening to advice or doing your research and making sure that you have that money in your custody at all times, then yes, then there's another risk of losing your money. And you have to take your time. You have to make sure that you have the right security in place, because new technology, just like the internet, just like a car, it all takes a little bit of learning before you drive really quickly.
Stocks and bonds. Wall Street would advise you this morning when the Dow Jones is down and when to invest. Let's bring Mr. Skerritt in there. And we have extra cash on hand, as a family, and we want to invest in some stocks and so on. So we're following how the Dow Jones and so on. Let's get there. Even before crypto, those terminologies gave you guidelines as when to invest, when to hold, and so on. Let's speak to that. So I'm listening to that, and my good friend Wall Street, probably listening this morning, would be happy to join a conversation such like this. How does cryptocurrency fit into all that, and where is that on the stock exchange?
Okay, so cryptocurrency is backed by real world assets. There are tokens that is backed by real world assets. So essentially, you can buy a cryptocurrency and it can be defined as a share. No, I can't legally give you financial advice, but it can act as a share in a company essentially. So you can buy a cryptocurrency that is tied to a particular company, right? And as the company grows, you can earn dividends on the appreciation of the crypto coin. You can also use cryptocurrency as a medium to invest in traditional stocks. Right? So let's say, for instance, you wanted to buy some shares in Angostura, you can use cryptocurrency as a medium to be able to purchase that stock on the financial markets or directly invest in the coins themselves. Right? So the cryptocurrency itself acts just the same as any stock would, and it moves the same way, same market, same charts, everything. So you have the same access and maybe even more inclusion as because you can't be able to do it from home, you can't be able to do it from a phone, you have access to it at all times. So that is the way that you can use cryptocurrency in order to invest on the stock markets, whether it be in traditional stocks or bonds or whatever, ETFs, or within cryptocurrency themselves.
And I want to get to Mr. Lutchman with that very same question. I have my reasons why asking individually this whole question of the stock exchange. Where does that fit? Would we hear that this morning? Let's say we tune into Wall Street and we're getting the information as to the rise and fall of the currencies in wherever part, and where would the stock, on the stock exchange, where would the crypto, is it right there with the rest of them?
It's not right there with the rest of them. So crypto almost has its own exchange and its own stock market, if you will, that is managed by the people. So you can check the coins that you invested in. So for example, if you put a little bit of money into Bitcoin, you can watch those charts rise and fall and look at how much you've earned versus how much you haven't earned. And what's interesting is Wall Street and the stock exchange is regulated. So there's certain criteria you have to meet before you invest in it. With crypto, you don't have as much criteria, which is a double-edged sword. So some of it could be really good because then you get to experiment and learn and be part of the international market, but also at the same time, because it's not regulated completely yet, you have more risk. You're able to take a little bit more chances there, which may be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, but it can also be really, really good because you get to learn without being blocked by, let's just say, a really high bar or a really large amount of money to participate. You can invest as little as $1 into Bitcoin.
Regulation means that you're protected. And if it's not regulated, why isn't it regulated? And when, or is there intending to regulate this cryptocurrency?
So regulation is protection. It is a way to make sure that your consumer, any consumer, so an everyday consumer like you or me, are making the right moves without having to do 100% of the research, but still do your research. But regulation can also be heavy-handed, and that could stop just everyday people from innovating and trying to build or learn about a new technology. And when a new technology such as cryptocurrency comes out, what we tend to see is one of two things: absolutely no regulation, which just leaves a whole bunch of opportunity for everybody, or too much regulation, which doesn't let anybody participate. And what you really want to find is a balance where regulators and innovators can come together and build protections in place for anybody to use it without blocking completely access.
All right, Mr. Skerritt, regulation is key. Your colleague just admitted, and we agree, we understand. If it's not really regulated, then there's no protection for you. So the government of Trinidad and Tobago may have some reservations in having this into central bank as part of our currency, so to speak, or choice of currency, should we make the necessary investment. As from a Trinidad and Tobago standpoint, where are we're treating with this new currency, is it, given the regulations are not necessarily as accessible as the other currencies and so on. Speak to us from a regulation standpoint in Trinidad and Tobago particularly.
Right, so in Trinidad and Tobago, there currently isn't any regulation. Right, they are now proposing essentially a blanket ban over it, which is not necessarily what we need to see currently because it is new technology, so we do understand them. However, we potentially put ourselves in a position of limiting ourselves, right, as opposed to being more inclusive, to be open to the technology. Right, the world is going in that direction. We even have places like the US with the Genius Act that made cryptocurrency legal tender. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have our neighbors up there that already have regulations kind of in place for it. Right, so currently, because we don't have any regulations, there's a gray area that we're operating out of. Right, but with more talks and more programs like these and more awareness, we do have the opportunity to use this as a way to create, more investments and be able to bring in foreign revenue, stuff like that. Right. So we do have the opportunity here in Trinidad and Tobago to do a lot with it. Right. But currently there isn't enough talks being done about the spacey technology and what it can be used for.
Based on what you just said, the government have all the right to say yea or nay to allow crypto to be part of our exchange currencies in central bank. What step would you take to convince, to have the conversation, as you said, with the government, the financial part of our governance, the central bank, to accommodate this currency? If there is pushback, what steps are you intending to take?
Right. So what we would like to see is just more open talks and more discussions about the space and what the potential for cryptocurrency can mean for Trinidad and Tobago. Right. The central bank and the powers that be the regulators, they have a unique opportunity here to pioneer and champion the cause. Right. There are things called CBDCs where the central bank themselves can issue digital currency. Right. There is opportunity for the central bank to be able to regulate and potentially tax cryptocurrency. So there is a way that we can generate currency from it, right? There is a way that we can use it to be more forward thinking and within this space and to be able to pioneer within the Caribbean, to be a shining example of what new technologies can produce. So I would like for the powers that be to be able to sit down and look at these options as a way to be able to bring more revenue into the country and stuff like that.
But you are saying this to me. Have you had a conversation with, let's say, Mr. Y, who is the head of central bank now, slipping me now. But anyway, have you had the conversation with Minister of Finance and those people who really call the shot, so to speak, as to see how best this can be accommodated as part of how we do business? You're talking that to me, but have you made that attempt to have the conversation at the meetings with those decision makers?
So we are well on our way to be doing that. So we currently have petitions in place to be able to, bring more awareness about our cause. Right. So we are right currently in the works and in the making to be able to do these things. I know previously the central bank did have discussions on it. So once there are more opportunities open panel discussions, we would be a part of it, and we are also working with the other stakeholders within the community to be able to, bring these things forward to the powers that be.
You said petition. Who are you intending to petition to have more numbers to echo the sentiments that you're expressing now, to convince those to listen? Because I'm not convinced that you are equipped with the requisite information, and maybe you need to petition members or supporters of this currency in Trinidad and Tobago space. You may be rejected if you don't have the numbers to convince government that this is a worthy investment in the option to maybe ease the burden of the desire for U.S. currency. This conversation is a deep one, Mr. Skerritt, and of course, Ms. Lutchman. Where are we going next after this conversation to get to have that currency regulated and to have it as part of, or if not the option outside of the U.S. currency?
So I believe that one of the things with the petition is to make sure that your voices are heard. If you've used cryptocurrency before, or if this is something that you think you'd benefit from, if you research and benefit from, your government, the Trinidad and Tobago government, wants to know. They want to hear from you and see how this has actually helped you and not harmed you. And this is where you have the opportunity for your voice to be heard. There's been a proposed bill that is heavy on the regulations, that it's read as an outright ban. And the petition is really to get the attention of the stakeholders who are presenting this bill, because they don't have all the research, but they want to know, hey, if we ban this, is this going to harm you? Is it going to do more harm than good? And so petition, reaching out to your representation, making sure that they know that, hey, this can be something positive for Trinidad, this can be something positive for Tobago and for myself as an individual. I want this to be fairly regulated. I want access to this. A ban is not going to suit me. So yeah, we're in chats with quite a few. We have a working group that's working alongside the government to work together for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, lastly, the whole question of if we are petitioning, then we need to get to the grassroots. The credit union would be of all the money institutions or the lending, or the financial institutions. Credit unions does have some credibility that can command some attention. Do you intend to approach the credit unions to invest in this currency?
So we can with proper regulation. So first thing, we need to have the panel discussions. We need to have proper regulation to be able to have some working framework to be able to be compliant. So that's the first step. So the first step is to bring more awareness, to be able to say, well, all right, yes, cryptocurrency does work for me. Yes, cryptocurrency is something that I want to be a part of, get the regulations and the compliance in order, and then we'll be able to go forward and look at investments from major institutions. But the opportunity is there on both sides.
All right. Well, if there's anything else you want to share, I think we covered a lot in closing. So we'll start with you, Ms. Lutchman.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. It was really great to be here and just let everybody know what the great things that crypto can do. I would say check crypto in Trinidad out. Make sure that you're doing your research and you're excited about this and the opportunity to work on a global scale with everybody else who's participating in crypto. And make sure your voices get heard. Thanks again.
All right. So, Mr. Skerritt.
Right. So what we do need currently is fair rules to be able to use the technology as it going forward to be able to do our daily transactions and stuff. So that's to reiterate, we need your voices heard, right? And we need people to come out and for the ones that has been benefiting from it to say that well, we have been benefiting from it and we do embrace the technology and we would like to see it stable and regulated within our country.
All right. Thank you both, and of course, pleasure having you. And yes, we'll continue our conversation. Continue to monitor where we are, and of course, as we progress. So I hope to see you back when there is, more news or good news to bring to the
Yes.
fore. Thank you, and all the best.
Definitely.